Good morning. I'm Eepsita Mandal from MSc Zoology 3rd semester, and we are going to discuss about nitrogen cycle, which is among the cycle from mineral cycles. By the name, we can guess that nitrogen cycle is the cycling of nitrogen between the abiotic and biotic component of the environment. Nitrogen cycle is basically a biogeochemical process that transforms the inert nitrogen present in the atmosphere to a more usable form for living organisms, because nitrogen cannot be used directly from the environment. So fixation of nitrogen is a very important process. Apart from carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen is the most prevalent element in the living organisms. Nitrogen is a constituent of amino acid, proteins, hormones, chlorophylls, and many other vitamins present. Plants also compete with microbes for limited nitrogen that is available in the soil. So nitrogen is limiting nutrient for both natural and agricultural ecosystems. Now, nitrogen gas that is present in the environment or atmosphere exists in both organic and inorganic forms. In organic nitrogen, it exists in living organisms and they get passed through the food chain by the consumption of other living organisms. And in inorganic forms of nitrogen, these are found in abundance in the atmosphere, and this nitrogen is made available to plants by symbiotic bacteria that convert the inert nitrogen into a usable form such as nitrites and nitrates. Nitrogen undergoes various types of transformations to maintain a balance in the ecosystem. Now we will discuss various steps of nitrogen cycle. The first one is nitrogen fixation. Nitrogen fixation can take place by three processes. And during the fixation of nitrogen, the inert form of nitrogen gas is deposited into the soil from the atmosphere and surface waters, mainly through precipitation. And later, the nitrogen undergoes a set of changes in which two nitrogen atoms get separated and combine with hydrogen to form ammonia. Now we will discuss the three process in which nitrogen fixation takes place. The first one is the atmospheric fixation. Atmospheric fixation is a natural phenomena in which the energy of the lightning breaks the nitrogen into nitrogen oxides and then it is used by the plants. The second one is industrial nitrogen fixation, in which the ammonia is produced by direct combination of nitrogen and hydrogen, and later it is converted into various fertilizers such as urea, and this technique is known as Haber's process. And the third one is biological nitrogen fixation, and we will discuss a bit deep about the biological nitrogen fixation. In biological nitrogen fixation, the microbes that participate in this are present in the free living form and also in the symbiotic form. So in the free living forms, it is also categorized into two categories, that is aerobic microbes and anaerobic microbes. Aerobic microbes means the microbes that work when with the presence of oxygen, and anaerobic means without the presence of oxygen. So aerobic microbes are azotobacter, and the anaerobic microbes are Anabena, nostoc. Now coming towards the symbiotic nitrogen fixation, that is we have already heard about the root nodules. Many of us have heard about root nodules present in the leguminous plants. This root nodules formed by the bacteria, we can simply say the legume bacteria relationship. In this, what happens is that the in the roots of the some of the plants like lentils, garden pea, sweet pea, alfalfa, we can see small outgrowth or nodule formed in the root. If we uproot any plant, we can surely observe these things, and it should be a leguminous plant. And if we cut them, we can see the central portion is red, and this is due to the presence of leguminous hemoglobin or leg hemoglobin. Now, how root nodules formation takes place, I will explain the process. That at first, the rhizobium bacteria contact a susceptible root hair and divide near it, and then it successfully infect the root hair and causes it to curl, and the infected thread then carries the bacteria to the inner cortex. The bacteria then get modified into rod-shaped bacterioids, and then causes inner cortical pericycle cells to divide, and the division and growth of the cortical and pericycle cells lead to nodule formation. A mature nodule is complete with vascular tissue continuous with those of the root. Now the fixation of nitrogen has taken place in this way, but we will see that what is the fate of the ammonia. There might be a question that what is the fate, what is ammonia finally is done with the ammonia actually. At first, ammonia is protonated to form NH4 plus, that is ammonium ion. Most of the plant can assimilate nitrate as well as ammonium ions. but ammonium ions are very toxic for the plants to accumulate in them. So ammonium ions are used to synthesize amino acids in plant, and can be this can be done by two processes, that is reductive aminase and transaminase. In reductive aminase, what happens is that ammonia reacts with alpha ketogluteric acid and forms glutamic acid. And in the second process, transamination, it involves the transfer of amino group from one amino acid to the keto group of a keto acid. Glutamic acid is the main amino acid from which the transfer of ammonia, that is amino group, takes place, and other amino acids are formed through transamination. Now coming to the second step, that is after nitrogen fixation, nitrification takes place. So nitrification means it is the process in which the ammonia is converted into nitrate by the presence of bacteria in the soil, and this also is done in two steps. The first one is that ammonia is first oxidized into nitrite by the bacteria Nitrosomonas or Nitrococcus. In the second step, the nitrite, that is NO2 minus, is oxidized into nitrate, that is NO3 minus, with the help of bacteria Nitrobacter. Now the nitrate, that is NO3 minus, is absorbed by plants and transported to leaves, and after that it is in the leaves, it is present in the reduced form, that is ammonia. Finally the ammonia forms amino group of amino acids, and the nitrate present in the soil is also reduced to nitrogen by the process of denitrification. So now coming towards the third step, that is assimilation. In assimilation, primary producers, that is plants, take in nitrogen compounds from the soil with the help of their roots, which are available in the form of ammonia, nitrite ions, nitrate ions, or ammonium ions, and are used in the formation of the plant and animal proteins. And in this way, it enters the food web when the primary consumers eat the plants. In the fourth step, that is ammonification, the plants, when the animals or plants dies, the nitrogen that is present in the organic matter is released back into the soil, and the decomposers, namely bacteria or fungi present in the soil, converts the organic matter into ammonium. And this process of decomposition produces ammonia, which is further used for other biological processes. And the last one is the denitrification. It is totally the topsy-turvy thing, that is whatever we have read till now is totally the opposite. It is the process in which the nitrogen compound makes their way back into the atmosphere by converting nitrate into gaseous nitrogen. This process of nitrogen cycle is the final stage and occurs in the absence of oxygen, and denitrification is carried out by the denitrifying bacterial species, that is Clostridium and Pseudomonas, which will process nitrate to gain oxygen and gives out free nitrogen gas as a byproduct. Now we will discuss about the importance of nitrogen cycle or the significance of nitrogen cycle. It helps the plants to synthesize chlorophyll from the nitrogen compounds, and then the second significance is that in the process of ammonification, the bacteria help in decomposing the animal and plant matter, which indirectly helps to clean up the environment. In the third significance, we can say that it helps in converting inert nitrogen gas into a usable form for the plants through the biochemical process. The fourth significance can be nitrates and nitrites are released into the soil, which helps in enriching the soil with necessary nutrients required for cultivation. And the fifth significance can be nitrogen is an integral component of the cell, and it forms many crucial compounds and important biomolecules. So these are some of the significance of the nitrogen cycle in the ecosystem. Now coming towards the threats that are caused by anthropogenic activities by humans on nitrogen cycle. Some of the threats are that burning of fossil fuels, application of nitrogen based fertilizers and other activities increases the amount of biologically available nitrogen in the ecosystem. And because of nitrogen availability often limits the primary productivity of many ecosystems, large changes is available in the nitrogen availability and can lead to severe alternations of nitrogen cycles in both aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems. In terrestrial ecosystem, the addition of nitrogen can lead to nutrient imbalance in changes in forest health and declines in biodiversity. With increased nitrogen availability, there is a change in carbon storage that is impacting more process than just the nitrogen cycle. That means it not only affects the nitrogen cycle but also affect other cycles like carbon cycle. In agriculture system also, fertilizers are used extensively to increase plant production, but unused nitrogen, usually in the form of nitrate, can leach out of the soil and enters the and rivers and ultimately make its way into drinking water. In the near shore marine systems also, increase in nitrogen can often lead to anoxia, that is no oxygen, or hypoxia, that is low oxygen, altered biodiversity, changes in food web structure, and general habitat degradation. Increased in nitrogen often leads to harmful algal blooms, which affects the aquatic ecosystem and kills many aquatic animals, including many fishes. Alternations in nitrogen cycles can lead to increased risk of parasitic and infectious diseases. Human activities also account for over one-third of N2 emissions, most of which are due to agricultural sectors. And major nitrogen oxides and ammonia emissions can lead to decreased atmospheric visibility due to ammonium aerosols, then elevated ozone concentrations, then ozone and particulate matter affects human health, that is respiratory diseases and cancers, and also increase in radiative forces and global climate change. It also leads to decreased agricultural productivity due to ozone deposition. Then it also in the ecosystem acidification takes place and eutrophication also takes place, which can acidify soil, streams, and lakes and alter forest and grassland productivity. Overall, we can see that if more nitrogen is present, then it can in the atmosphere, then it can surely affect the ecosystem. So we should be very careful in and keep and watch on our daily activities that what we are doing, so that the cycles of the ecosystem do not get disturbed for our activity and our ecosystem can be run smoothly. That's all. Thank you so much for listening.